Here we have a Kubernetes cluster running several pods. One of the pods has become infected by a Bitcoin mining bot that can connect back to a command and control server running a botnet. It would be very difficult to notice this going on in your cluster. Calico Enterprise consumes open source and third-party threat feeds that identifies known bad actors and automatically blocks those connections. When the infected pod attempts to connect to the command and control server, the connection attempt is blocked and you'll receive an alert notifying you of the infected pod. Cybercriminals can outpace threat feeds using complex attacks like domain generation algorithms, or DGAs. In a DGA attack, the infected pod will attempt to connect to random domains based on a seed algorithm, while the command and control server generates random domains based on the same seed. Here, the pod attempts to connect to the first two domains and fails, but connects with the third domain, establishing remote control over your pod. Calico Enterprise has custom alerts that can identify malicious activity like egress to command and control servers via domain generation algorithms. Notice that the pod attempts to connect to the first domain and fails. Calico Enterprise identifies this and blocks the second and third attempts while raising an alert notifying you of the infected pod. An infected pod can spread throughout your cluster, or worse. Here we have a pod that is running an IP sweep to identify other pods to traverse to. Your entire cluster could fall prey to this malicious workload. An infected workload could also connect to one of those services and launch a denial of service attack, effectively taking down your application. Calico Enterprise uses anomaly detection to rapidly identify and block malicious activity. Here, Calico Enterprise observes the IP sweep and blocks it. Calico Enterprise also forms a baseline for normal traffic flow and notices that the connections from one service to another are increasing too rapidly and blocks the denial of service attack. You may have hundreds or thousands of workloads running in your cluster and may not want to run the full suite of intrusion detection methods for all workloads. It would result in a lot of data being collected as well as alerts for workloads that may not be that critical. Calico Enterprise enables you to build a moat around your critical workloads and apply the intrusion detection methods you want to use for those workloads, limiting the data collection and alerting to those workloads you care about most. Calico Enterprise can also deploy fake pods, called honeypods, into your cluster. Your application would never connect to a honeypod, so if a connection attempt is made, you know it's coming from an infected workload. Calico Enterprise will alert on these connections, notifying you of the infected pod, and can quarantine the pod and the honeypod together, letting the malicious workload continue to do its work while the honeypod inspects the traffic with Snort and other tools for inspection by your security team. Calico Enterprise offers the most advanced intrusion detection capabilities in the market for Kubernetes. Give it a try yourself with the free Calico Enterprise trial.